He opened the door before the sun broke. No birdsong yet. No wind. Just that sound. Bare feet shifting on old wood. The boy didn't move when the light hit him. Curled up tight on the stoop like he knew better than to knock. No shoes. One hand clutching a folded wool blanket, the other hand under his head like he was used to waiting. And the note, pinned to his shirt with a safety pin that was too clean, too new. The handwriting stopped him. All it said was, "Your last son. Do better." He didn't say anything, just crouched slowly. I watched the boy breathe. The boy blinked, didn't flinch. "Are you cold?" The boy nodded. "You eat." A pause, then, "No, sir." "Who brought you?" "They didn't give a name." "You know mine?" "No, sir." The man reached. The boy didn't pull back. He lifted him like he weighed nothing, thin under the blanket. Inside, the kettle was already on. He laid the boy on the couch, tucked the blanket tighter. "You hurt anywhere?" "No, sir." "You remember how you got here?" "They said not to speak too much." The man stiffened. They. A woman. Red scarf. Drove an old truck. Said this was your house. She says her name. No. He sat on the rocker. I watched steam rise from the stove. The boy's eyes moved to the chair. "Somebody used to sit there," he said. The man didn't respond. She sang. The man stood. "You want tea?" The boy nodded. "Yes, sir." He poured it carefully, set it in front of the boy. No sugar, no milk. The boy sipped, didn't complain. "You from around here?" "I don't know where this is." "You know how old you are?" 8. The man looked at the note again. That handwriting hadn't changed in decades. Sharp, like someone angry at the paper. He unpinned it. The pin snapped as it came free. The boy looked at his face. "Did you know her?" The man looked up. "The woman who dropped me off," the boy said. "Did you know her?" "I think so." He folded the note and put it in the drawer under the stove. The boy leaned back. "You live here alone?" "I do." "You always?" "Not always." "Did you have sons before?" The man's jaw worked. "One." "What happened to him?" "He left." "Why?" The man stood. "You want bread?" The boy nodded. He sliced a piece, handed it over. The boy bit without pausing. Crumbs on the blanket. "He left 'cause of something you did." The man turned his back. "Or something someone else did?" the boy asked. He didn't answer. The boy sat quite a while, chewing slowly. "Do you want me to leave?" "No." "Do I have to call you something?" "You can call me what you like." The boy thought for a moment. "You want me to call you Papa?" The man dropped the kettle. It clanged and rolled. "I can call you something else." "No." "I don't mean to be upset. It's fine." The boy looked toward the window. "She said I might remind you." "She?" The boy nodded. "Said if you opened the door and didn't slam it shut, maybe there's hope left in you." The man breathed through his nose. "Sit back down." "What's your name?" "They didn't tell me." "What do you remember?" "Just this place." A photo, a fire, and the chair. "What chair?" "That one," he pointed. "She rocked in it." The man stood up fast. "You're mistaken." The boy didn't move. "She sang something soft, like a hum. She died." The boy nodded. "Yeah, but she still sings." The man left the room. In the hallway, he leaned against the wall, fists clenched. The photo was gone. He'd burned it. The blanket, too. But somehow the stitch patterns matched. He came back. The boy hadn't moved. "Where'd you come from?" "I was in a place with walls too clean. Lights too white. The doors are too heavy. Hospital? Maybe. But not for sick folks. For kept ones." The man sat across from him. "Why now?" "She said you're older now." "Maybe I'm tired enough to change." The fire crackled. The boy rubbed his feet together under the blanket. "She had a picture of you," he said. The man swallowed, kept it in her coat. "Said you used to build cribs. Said you carved a name into one." He looked at the boy for a long time. "You're not mine," he said. The boy didn't blink. "Then who am I?" "I don't know." "She said I was your last." "She lied." "She said the others were taken. One by fire, one by silence." "It was my last chance." The man didn't speak. "Will you let me stay?" the boy asked. The man rose. I walked to the hearth, picked up the kettle, sat it back on the stove. "Are you still hungry?" The boy nodded. "Yes, sir." The man pulled a pan down. "Then eat, and stay quiet for a while." The boy smiled once. Yes, sir. Outside, the wind finally moved. A crow took off from the fence, and inside, the chair rocked once. Nobody touched it. The chair rocked once, not fast, not loud, just enough to catch the boy's eyes and make the man freeze. She used to sit there, the boy said again, pointing with his chin. She'd sing when the kettle started. The man stood still by the stove, hand gripping the edge of the counter. What did she sing? He asked. I don't know the words. Just the sound, like humming. That chair's been empty for 12 years. The boy looked at him. Empty's not the same as quiet. The man walked over, slow, like the floor might crack under him. He touched the top of the chair. It stopped rocking. She died in that fire, he said. I know. You don't know. I do. The man turned. How? She showed me. In dreams. The hallway burns first, then the curtains, then her. Hand on the door, but it's too late. He stared hard. No one knew that. She did. The man rubbed his face, sat down at the table. You need to stop saying things like that. I'm just saying what I saw. It's not right. The boy shrugged. Maybe neither's the chair. They ate in silence. Cold eggs, dry bread. The man poured himself coffee. The boy just watched the steam rise. Do you ever have a name? The man asked. No. You want one? Do I get to choose? Damn right. The boy looked around. Eyes moved to a photo on the wall. Cracked frame. Woman smiling, holding a baby. Who's that? He didn't answer. Is that her? The man nodded once. Her name was Eloise. The boy stared at the picture. I like that name. Not for a boy. Then Eli. The man blinked. What do you want? I think it's what she'd want. He didn't argue. All right, he said. Eli. The boy smiled, just a twitch of the mouth. Do I sleep here now? The man nodded. In her room. The man's chair scraped as he stood. No. Why not? She's not done with it. The boy didn't flinch. Okay. He slept on the couch again, blanket pulled up to his chin. The man sat in the rocker, watched the fire. The boy's breathing slowed. The chair rocked on its own. Just a nudge. He looked down. His feet weren't moving. He stood, backed away. Eli, he whispered. The boy didn't stir. He looked at the chair, then in the photo. What do you want? He muttered. The chair stopped. He sat on the floor instead. I didn't sleep? Just wait. In the morning, Eli was already up, sitting cross-legged by the fireplace. You get rest? The man asked. Eli nodded. She sings better when you're awake. The man didn't answer. They walked the property together. Fence needed fixing. The coop door hung crooked. You got animals? Eli asked. Used to. What happened to them? Things die. Eli picked up a stone. I turned it over. Not everything. The man looked over. You say strange things, you know that? Eli smiled. She said you used to too. Stop saying what she said. Why? 'Cause she's not here. Eli looked up. She is. That night, the wind howled. Window panes rattled. The chair creaked even when the fire was out. The man stood in the hallway, hand on her door. He opened it. Dust rose. The bed is still made. A half-burned shawl on the dresser. The mirror cracked in the corner. He stepped inside. Don't stay long, Eli said behind him. The man turned. I saw her there once, Eli said. She didn't look at me. Just stood by the mirror. You dream too much. Maybe. The man looked at the mirror. His reflection didn't move. He stepped back out. Closed the door. Don't go in there again, he said. Eli nodded. I won't. Later he found the boy sitting in the rocker. It didn't move for him. You're not scared of it? No, Eli said. It only rocks when she's here. The man sat across. You think she sent you? I know she did. Why now? Because you're still breathing. The man looked at the flames. Maybe I shouldn't be. Eli leaned forward. Maybe she forgave you. For what? You tell me. The fire popped. She got pregnant, the man said. Eli didn't speak. She didn't tell me until after. Said she'd already handled it. I didn't ask what that meant. Eli stared. What did you think she meant? I didn't ask. Eli leaned back. Maybe that was the sin. The man stood. I walked to the rocker. It didn't move. I should have asked. Yeah, he reached for the photo on the wall. Sit it down. rubbed his thumb over the glass. She had twins once, he said. Eli looked up. One died. Or maybe Eli stood. Or maybe they split 'em. The man's hands shook. She said, "Your last son," he whispered. "But she never told me about the first." "You never asked." The man nodded. "No, I didn't." The chair creaked again, but no one was in it. The door creaked again. Second night in a row. He opened one eye. The couch was empty, the blanket folded neat. He stepped out slowly, boots in one hand. The floor didn't groan. The screen door clicked. Eli. No answer. He slipped outside, breath steaming in the cold. The boy walked barefoot across the dirt, like he knew where he was going. The man followed. "Eli," he called again, quieter. The boy kept walking, past the chicken coop, past the dried-up pump, toward the barn, the one with the heavy beams nailed in an X across the doors. He hadn't touched that barn in 12 years. "Stop," he said. Eli did. "I told you not to go near that place." "I was already in it," Eli said, "before you knew I existed." "What are you talking about?" The boy turned. "This is where they took me last time." The man froze. "Who?" Eli pointed. "The people who wanted a boy without a name. They said I was easier than a girl." The man stepped forward. "That barn's locked for a reason." "I know," Eli said. "It keeps them in." The man stared at the boards. Thick oak, nailed with iron, too clean, not weathered like the rest of the property. He stepped up, put one hand on the beam. "They said she'd scream," Eli whispered, "but she didn't. She just sang." The man turned. "What do you mean?" "I was underneath." Listening, the man pulled. The wood didn't budge. He grabbed the hammer from the shed wall, then stopped. Number. He dropped it. He used his fists instead. The nails held, then gave with a groan. He yanked the beam off, threw it down. His hands bled. He didn't care. The door creaked open. Dust flew out like breath. "Don't go in yet," Eli said. The man paused. "She's not angry," the boy whispered. "She's just waiting." They stepped inside together. The air was wrong. Cold, wet, but no smell. No rot. No animals. Just emptiness. No hay. No tools. Only a circle burned into the dirt floor, blackened, perfect. And in the center, a child's dress folded. The man staggered. Eli stepped closer. They made her wear it. Said it was easier to explain. The man knelt, touched the cloth. "I buried her in this," he said. "No," Eli said. "You buried someone, not her." The man looked up. There were two. Eli whispered. "She told me." They split us. He reached for the dress, held it up. A faded pin near the collar. "E.T.," the man choked. "I thought she burned." "She did," Eli said. "But not like you think." The man sat hard on the floor. "I heard her once," he said, "after the fire. Rocking in that chair. I thought I was losing my mind. You were remembering." The wind howled through a crack in the roof. "She said it was a trade," Eli whispered. "A son for silence." The man looked up. "They made me sign something. Told me it was a medical release. I was grieving. I didn't read it." "She forgave you," Eli said. "How do you know?" "She told me." The man stood. "I walked to the edge of the circle." "Why this barn?" "She said it was where the choice was made." The man reached for the wall, ran his hand along the wood. Nails embedded deep. Scratches, fingernail marks. "She tried to fight," the man said. "I know." He turned to Eli. "How long were you there?" "Not long." "Not this time." The man stared. "You were in this barn?" "Yeah." "For how long?" "Long enough to remember." The man's fists clenched. "She said you'd break the wood," Eli said. "That you'd use your hands, not the hammer." The man looked down. Blood on his knuckles. "You think she's still here?" "She never left." The man walked to the center, dropped to his knees. "I'm sorry," he whispered. The wind died. The barn stilled. The circle faded just slightly. Eli stood in the doorway. "She said you'd come back when you were ready." The man didn't move. "She didn't need you to fix it," Eli said. "She just needed you to open the door." The man looked up. "And now?" "She's quiet." He stood. Together, they walked out. He turned once, looked back. The dress was gone. Only dust remained, and the faint sound of a lullaby just under the wind. Water rippled in the metal tub as the boy rinsed his arms, lantern light casting long shadows on the wall. The air smelled like soap and old wood. Steam curled toward the rafters. The man leaned in the doorway, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the back of the boy's neck. Eli moved slowly, like someone who knew how not to spill. His spine was bony, skin pale. The silence between them wasn't heavy. It just waited. "Are you all right in there?" the man asked. "I'm fine." "Too hot?" "No." "Have you ever had a real bath before?" "Not like this." The man stepped into the room, letting the floor creak under his boot. "You're not used to being quiet, are you?" he said. "I'm used to waiting." The boy tilted his head to scrub behind his ear, and the man saw it. That mark, a pale crescent, almost silver in the lamplight, just under the left jaw, like a shallow hook had been pressed into him and healed without care. His voice dropped. "What's that scar from?" Eli paused, hand frozen midair. "What scar?" "Your neck." The boy touched it. "I don't know. It was already there when I woke up in the first place, I remember." The man stepped closer. "You mean that place with the white walls and heavy doors?" Eli nodded. "I wasn't the only one there." The man crouched near the tub. "You remember what they did to you?" "Some of it. Most of it's like pictures with no sound." The man stared at the scar. His breath shortened. "My daughter had the same mark." Eli blinked. "Here, exactly there. Same shape. They told her it came from the fire." The boy said, not as a question. The man nodded slowly. "Said a beam caught her face as she crawled." "I buried her with that story in my mouth." Eli looked down at the water. "That doesn't feel like a fire scar." "What does it feel like?" "Like something cold, something clean, a blade maybe, or metal. I dream about it sometimes." The man stood up fast, back toward the chair in the corner, and sat hard. "She used to hum in the bath," he said, "even when she was scared." "I do too." "She always stopped if someone listened." Eli reached for the towel. "You're listening now. Don't stop." The boy stood from the tub, wrapped the towel tight around himself. His ribs were too visible. There were other marks, faded bruises, thin white lines. The man's hands curled into fists. "They marked you," he said. "They tried to make me forget." "Did it work?" Eli looked him dead in the eye. "No." The man swallowed. "She had that same fight in her. Small but stubborn. Maybe I got that from her." The man looked away. "You didn't get it from me." He stood and poured the tub out through the back door, water steaming on the dirt. Eli sat by the fire now, towel wrapped like a second skin. "Have you ever seen pictures of her?" the man asked. "Just the one." "Which one?" "The photo on the dresser. Her holding a toy horse. You were behind her, looking away. That was the last picture we took. She said you used to make her toy animals from wood." The man paused. "She told you that?" "She said the horse was the only one that didn't splinter." He sat down slowly. "I carved it from the maple stump near the orchard." Eli nodded. "She remembered the sound of you carving more than the toy itself." Silence again. Then, "You ever wonder if she made it out?" "I saw the fire take her, but did you see her face?" The man blinked. "What?" "Did you look at her face the day you buried her?" I didn't want to. They told me not to." Eli nodded slowly. "Maybe they didn't want you to know." "To know what?" "That it wasn't her." The man stood. "Stop." Eli kept speaking. "She said they took her. Swapped someone else in the barn. The one who didn't scream, 'She's dead.' Maybe her body is." He turned. "You're just a boy. You don't know what you're saying." "I know she didn't die the way they told you." The man rubbed his temples. "This is insane. She said you wouldn't believe it until you saw the scar." "I saw it. And I don't know what to do with that." Eli reached up, lifted his chin, and turned to show the mark again. "She said if you ever saw it again, you'd know." "Know what?" "That she forgave you." The man turned away. "She shouldn't have to. She did anyway." He sat back down in the rocker, body heavy. "She tried to tell me," he whispered, "before the fire. I found her packing a bag. She said she heard someone outside, that the sheriff had been by. I thought she was making it up. Maybe you wanted to think that. I told her to stop imagining things. She said I wouldn't understand until it was too late. And now. He looked across the room. It's too late. Eli didn't respond. He reached for the folded shirt on the hearth, the same one he came in wearing, with the note still inside the pocket. You want to see it again? He asked. No. I think you should. The man stood. I walked to the boy, took the note, unfolded it. Your last son. Do better. His hands shook. She left that for you, Eli said, because you didn't get to hold the first one long enough. He sat down. What happens now? She said you'd know when it's time. The man looked at him. To do what? To dig, Eli said softly, where you shouldn't have stopped digging. And in the silence that followed, the chair rocked by itself. Once. He waited until the boy slept. The rocker didn't move tonight. The chair sat still in the corner like even it didn't want to watch. Eli's breathing was steady, his arm tucked under his chin. The quilt nearly swallowed him. The man stood in the kitchen doorway for a long time. Then he turned, stepped through the hall, and opened the door to the room he never entered. The bedroom still smelled like her. Faint lilac dust, cedar, drawer oil. A shawl hung over the mirror just like she left it. He didn't touch it. He didn't need to see his face. He knelt at the base of the armoire, reached behind it, pulled the old leather-bound Bible from the hollow he carved into the wall after she died. The cover was cracked, corners curled from years of sweat and grief. He set it down on the bed and opened to the middle. Births. He ran his fingers down the names, his own, inked in heavy black, hers beside it. His daughter, Eloise Marie, neat cursive, drawn with care. No Eli, no second entry. He flipped pages, faster now, no additions, no other children. But under Eloise's name, scratched hard enough to tear the paper, was a single line drawn through her name. He stared at it. The ink was rust red, dried sharp, not faded like the rest. Beside the line, smaller handwriting, different ink, slanted, female, buried wrong, returned anyway. He sat down slowly. The room seemed to tilt. He hadn't opened this book since the day he wrote the funeral date. I hadn't remembered touching it since, but someone had. He flipped to the back. Tucked inside was a photo, not the ones he kept on the mantel. This one was different. His daughter, maybe 5, standing by the barn, holding something in her arms. Her face turned slightly, half-shadowed, a scar visible under her jaw. And, behind her, another child, slightly taller, eyes darker. He didn't remember this picture. He turned it over. No date, no names, just the words. Only one was allowed to stay. His breath caught. He looked toward the hallway, could still hear Eli's soft exhale. He turned back to the Bible, flipped to death. Her name wasn't there. No entry at all. He slammed it shut. She'd written everything in it, carefully, consistently. Every weather event, every name, every ache. But she hadn't written her own death. He opened it again, slower, went page by page. A thin slip of paper slid out between psalms. It fell to the floor. He picked it up. If they lie in writing, they lie in blood. No signature, just the sentence. He looked at the handwriting, matched the note on the boy's shirt. Same sharp angles, same pressure. He stood, took the Bible, and walked down the hallway. Eli stirred when he entered. What time is it? Too late. The boy sat up, rubbing his eyes. The man set the Bible on the table. You're not in here, he said. Eli nodded. Didn't think I would be. You weren't born to me. No. But she knew you. Yes. He opened the page with the line. This was her handwriting? Eli leaned forward, studied it. Yeah, that's hers. She crossed out her name. She thought it'd protect you. He pointed to the note. Buried wrong. She said they took the wrong one. She wasn't supposed to die that night. I saw her. You saw what they wanted you to see. He pointed to the photo. Who's that? Eli took it gently. That's us. Me and her. Before you were both here? Yes, they watched us, measured us, picked her, and left you. She screamed. I didn't. That made it easier. He sat back. That fire wasn't an accident. The man rubbed his face. God. She said it was punishment. For trying to run. For hiding the letter. What letter? Eli looked away. You never found it. No. She left it under the floorboard. Her room. Near the cot. I never checked. She knew you wouldn't. He stood. Get dressed. Why? We're going to find it. Eli climbed off the couch, pulled his boots on, and followed. In the room, the air felt colder. The man knelt by the bed, pulled up the corner of the rug. Floorboard creaked as he pressed. One lifted. He reached inside, pulled out a cloth-wrapped bundle. I opened it. A letter, dated 2 days before the fire. He read aloud, "If you find this, it means I couldn't run fast enough. They'll say it was an accident, but you know me. I don't leave candles lit. I don't play with matches. If she's still alive, protect her. If she's not, find the one they left in her place. He's yours, even if not by name. Blood never asked for permission." The man sat back. The boy watched him. "She loved you." He nodded. "I loved her back." "You believe it now." "I don't have a choice." The boy stepped forward, touched the Bible. "Do I go in now?" The man looked up. "You already were. Just not written." He opened the birth page again, took the pen from the drawer. In the empty space, he wrote, "Eli. Returned. Still here." And this time, he didn't cross anyone out. He drove at first light. Gravel crunched under the truck like bones. He didn't tell Eli where he was going, just said, "Back by noon," and took off down the ridge road, windows down, coffee untouched. His hands shook too much to drink. The boy hadn't asked, just looked up from the table and nodded like he already knew. By the time he reached the county line, the sky had turned the color of ash. He hadn't been this way in years. The trees were taller, roads are narrower, but the path to the midwife's place hadn't changed. It was carved into him like all the things he wished he'd done differently. She used to live just past the creek, an old woman with more rumors than neighbors. Folks said she knew how to bring life and take it away, depending on the price. The cabin was still there, leaning but standing, porch sagging, door ajar. No one in sight, no tire tracks. Just the sound of crows echoing from the trees behind. He stepped out. Dirt stuck to his boots. The wind pushed against his back like it didn't want him there. Inside, the air was dead and damp. Cobwebs clung to the corners. A rusted kettle sat on the stove, the same blanket he remembered still, draped over the rocking chair. Moth-eaten but familiar. He walked to the back room, the one she always kept locked. It wasn't locked now. He pushed the door open. Dust swirled. A shelf of bottles stood untouched. Dried herbs, vials with faded ink labels. And there on the table, the ledger, wrapped in cloth, dark-stained, sticky. He stared at it for a long time before touching it. It smelled faintly of iron. He unwrapped it, slow. The binding cracked like dry wood. The ledger was thick, hundreds of pages. Written by hand in neat cursive, the old kind was only taught to girls born before the war. Names, dates, sex, weight, conditions, outcomes. He turned to the year that mattered, the year the fire took everything. He found his daughter's birth first, Eloise Marie, 7 pounds, 1 ounce, breech, but delivered safe. Then something strange happened. Right under her name, a second entry. No name listed, just male. Same hour, scar under left jaw. Quiet. No cry. He stared at the ink. It was smeared slightly, like someone had touched it while bleeding. Beside the entry, twin. Unnamed. Given back later. He swallowed. Given back to who? He turned the page. More notes in the margin, different handwriting. Sloppier, urgent, one for light, one for quiet. He kept flipping. The further he went, the darker the notes became. Child taken under request. Official initials present. He stopped cold. In the margin, SR the sheriff. He turned back to the entry, touched the page with the boy's birth. His hand trembled. "She never told me," he whispered. Of course she hadn't. He wouldn't have believed her. He wrapped the ledger back in the cloth, careful not to stain himself. As he turned to leave, a photo slipped out from between the pages. Black and white, faded. A woman holding 2 babies, one wrapped in a patterned blanket. The other held tighter, like she didn't want to let go. He flipped the photo over. Just one word. Returned. He didn't speak on the drive back. Didn't blink much either. By the time he pulled into the drive, the sky had darkened again. Eli sat on the porch steps, feet bare, eyes steady. "You went to her place," he said. The man nodded. "She's gone. Long gone." "Did she keep it?" "She kept everything." He climbed the steps, sat beside the boy, and placed the wrapped ledger between them. Eli touched it. "Still sticky." "Some of it." They sat in silence. "I found your name in it," the man said. "I thought I wouldn't be listed." "You weren't. But you were there." Eli didn't move. I remember the walls, not the people. She wrote you were quiet. Didn't cry. I didn't want them to know I was real. The man looked at him. She said you had a scar when you were born. Eli touched his jaw. Guess it never left. She wrote something else. Eli waited. She said you were given back. To who? The man shook his head. Don't say. Maybe it wasn't about who. Maybe it was about when the man looked down at his hands. I never asked the right questions. You're asking now. Too late. Eli stood. Not for me. The man held up the photo. This you? Eli studied it. Hard to tell, but I remember the blanket. She kept you both. Only for a little while. He looked at the boy. She said one for light, one for quiet. Guess I was quiet. He nodded. She didn't want to lose either of you. Eli stepped down from the porch, but she did. The man clutched the ledger tight. They lied to all of us. Eli didn't turn around. That's what they were paid for. The wind shifted. The trees behind the barn moved like they were listening. The man stood. We're not done. No, Eli said, but we're closer. The man placed the ledger on the porch. We tell no one. Eli nodded. Not yet. Inside, the chair began to rock again. No one was near it, but both of them stopped walking and listened. He didn't knock, just shoved the station door open like it was still his right to walk through. The place looked the same, too clean for how much blood had passed through it. Bulletin board covered in notices no one read. The same coffee pot from 15 years ago hissed in the corner. The sheriff sat behind his desk, boots up, staring like he'd been expecting this since morning. You found it, he said. The man stepped forward, dropped the note on the desk. This is yours? The sheriff didn't answer. The man pulled the photo from the ledger's pages, slapped it down beside the note. How about this? Still nothing. Then the man leaned in. He has a scar. The sheriff shifted in his chair. You came alone? I didn't come for pleasantries. He dropped the boy's shirt on the desk. The note is still pinned to it. The sheriff stared. You're not going to deny it? The man asked. No point in lying to someone who already knows the shape of the lie. You gave her up. I signed what I was told to sign. Your initials are in the ledger. The sheriff leaned back. So are yours. I didn't know what I was signing. We never do. The man slammed his palm against the desk. Don't you dare turn this around. The sheriff stood slowly. I walked to the wall behind him. A row of black and white photos lined the paneling. Deputies from decades ago. Old festivals, missing kids, and one photo bigger than the rest. A boy, maybe 8 years old, dark hair, round face, standing in front of a barn. The sheriff pointed. That's my son. The man squinted. His stomach dropped. That's him. Yeah, same face. Exactly. The sheriff nodded. That photo's from 1994. The man stepped closer. He didn't age. No. Why? He was born during the last breach. They said he wouldn't age unless someone pulled him back. The man shook his head. That makes no sense. Nothing about this ever did. The man's voice dropped. What did you give them? I gave them my name. They gave me back my son. Unchanged. The man turned away, heart thudding. So that's what this is. They trade. They are replaced. The sheriff didn't argue. The man looked back. How many others? Too many. You just stood by. I stood where they told me to. Until my knees gave out, the man walked to the window. Outside, the street was quiet. Have you ever thought about what they took from her? The sheriff sighed. Every night. She wrote you a letter. Told you she was scared. Told you someone came to the barn. The sheriff flinched. I burned it. You what? She begged me not to involve you. Said you'd try to stop it and get hurt. So I burned it. I thought I was doing the right thing. The man turned, fists clenched. You let them take her. I thought it was just her. It wasn't. It was him, too. The sheriff's voice cracked. I didn't know. You didn't ask. The room went quiet. The man pointed to the photo. That boy, he's still 8? The sheriff nodded. He still hums the song she used to sing. She never sang it for anyone but me. The sheriff's hands trembled. He hums it in his sleep. The man stepped forward. You let them keep her and gave them your son instead. No. Then how? I asked for mine back. They gave me what was left. The man stared. You don't even know what he is. No. The man took the photo off the wall, held it in his hands. He has the same eyes as Eli. The sheriff nodded slowly. They were in the same room once. One cried. One didn't. They took the one who screamed. They always do. The man handed him the photo. You kept this lie up for 30 years. The sheriff looked down. You gonna tell the town? I should. Then do it. The man paused. They wouldn't believe me. They never do. He picked up the shirt again. I folded it. You tell him who he is. Every year on his birthday. And what does he say? He says, I don't feel time. The man blinked. You want to meet him? The sheriff asked. No. Why not? Because he's not mine. The sheriff walked back to the desk. You think Eli is? The man didn't answer. The sheriff sat. He's watching you. I know. He's waiting for you to decide what you are. I'm not a father. Not yet. The man headed for the door. You gonna tell him what you found? Yes. The sheriff nodded. Good. He deserves that. The man opened the door, then stopped. You burned her letter, he said. Yes. You buried her name. Yes. You helped them do this. I did. Then why are you still breathing? The sheriff looked him dead in the eye. Because someone has to carry the blame long enough for the truth to outlive it. The man stepped into the light, didn't look back. The key didn't work. He tried twice, hands steady, but cold. It had always been stiff, her hope chest lock, meant to keep little fingers out, or maybe meant to keep him out. He looked over his shoulder. Eli sat at the table carving the edge of a biscuit with a butter knife. Quiet. Have you ever broken something that wasn't yours? He asked. Eli didn't look up, only what needed breaking. The man nodded once, then brought the crowbar down on the lock. It snapped with a dull crack. The lid groaned open. Inside, wool, quilts, threadbare baby clothes, a pair of tiny shoes. He lifted each one out slow. Beneath them, a bundle of letters tied with twine. He sat on the floor and pulled the first one loose. The date was from the first winter, after the birth. I thought you'd want to know the name I gave her when you weren't home. I called her Eloise. It felt too soft for a girl born so hard. His chest tightened. He read the next. The doctor said there was only one, but the pain told me something different. I think someone lied, but I don't know who. He flipped faster. Her handwriting stayed steady, even when the ink blurred. Some were smudged like tears. Some were half-written, and then one not addressed. No name on the envelope, just a fold. And her wedding ring sealed into the crease. He unfolded it carefully. The paper tore at the corner. They won't raise both. One for them. One for fire. I chose the quiet one. I'm sorry. If you find this, it means I lost. If you never find it, maybe I didn't. It was signed with her name, Eloise, and a date, one day before the fire. He let the paper fall from his hand. He sat there a long time. Eli spoke first. She wrote it for you. The man didn't look up. She never said anything. She knew you wouldn't believe it then. I don't believe it now. But you're holding it. He picked it up again. Read it twice more. Her pen had pressed harder on that last line. Maybe I didn't. She knew they were coming, he said. Eli nodded. She hid you during the thunder. I remember her humming to cover the steps outside. You were there. I was under the bed. She wrapped me in her shawl, told me not to cry. The man stood, pushed the chest closed. The lid didn't shut all the way. She chose you, he said. She tried to choose both of us. He placed the letter on the table, sat down across from Eli. I thought I buried a child. Turns out I buried a lie. She buried it with you. He tapped the envelope. She knew about them. She knew what they were doing. She knew enough to run. He looked down. I told her she was imagining things. Told her she was tired, that motherhood made her fragile. You said that? He nodded. Over and over. Eli said nothing, just watched him. I thought I was protecting her by keeping her still, keeping her home. She wanted to move. She wanted to breathe. The fire crackled. He wiped his eyes with the heel of his hand. He pushed the letter toward Eli. You keep this. Eli blinked. It's not mine. It's not mine either. Then whose is it? It's hers. We're just the ones who didn't listen in time. Eli folded the letter again, slower this time, placed it back in the envelope. She wrote this with her life. She wrote it with the part of her that no one protected. They sat in silence for a while. You ever wonder what they wanted us for? Eli asked. All the time. I think it wasn't about us. Then what? It was about who'd be quiet when it counted. The man nodded. You didn't scream. No, she did. I remember. He looked at the fire. I can't bring her back. Eli's voice dropped. She's not gone. She burned. Not all of her. He looked up. What does that mean? Eli pointed to the letter. That's what survived. Outside, the wind picked up. The trees moved like someone was watching. The man stood. I walked to the hearth, took down the photo frame of her smiling in the summer sun. I lied at her funeral, he said. Said she died in peace. Said she wasn't scared. She was brave, Eli said. That's not the same thing. He nodded. She always knew the difference. He looked back at the boy. You think she knew I'd find this? She hoped you would. He held the photo against his chest. I should have listened to her. She left the letter because you didn't. He closed his eyes. What do I do now? Eli stood. You dig where she told you not to. You open what they locked, and you finish what she started. The man opened the back door. The wind hit him full in the face. Cold. Sharp. He stepped out into it, barefoot, still holding the picture, and behind him the hope chest creaked open, all on its own. The boy didn't ask permission, just slipped out before breakfast, barefoot again, quiet as always. The man watched from the kitchen window. Eli walked the same line the girl once had, same rhythm, same silence. The man didn't call after him, just followed. Eli stopped at the edge of the property, where the land dropped toward the tree line. The old well sat there, dry for 20 years, covered in ivy, stone rim chipped and stained. The boy knelt beside it, brushed the moss with his fingers. The man stood a few feet back. That thing's been dry since the year she came. Eli didn't look up. It remembers her. He crouched beside the boy. The cold from the stones rose through his knees. She used to play here, the man said. Toss dolls down it. Lost a lock at once. Said she heard it hit the bottom, then someone whispered her name. I believe her. He watched Eli trace something with his hand. The moss peeled away, and underneath, scratched deep into the stone, her name, Eloise. The letters were crooked, carved by a child's hand. Beneath it, not gone, just waiting. The man stared. You didn't do that? Eli shook his head. It was already here. He touched the name again, slower this time. She wrote this, the man said, or tried. She said she did it the day they picked me. The man turned. She told you that? She said she wanted to leave a sign, in case no one came looking. I never came here after the fire. She knew you wouldn't. He reached out, ran his fingers across the letters. His skin caught on the rough edges of the E. You ever wonder why they picked her? He asked. Eli nodded. Because she wasn't easy. They wanted quiet. She screamed. He looked into the well. Nothing but shadow. Have you ever thought about jumping? Eli asked. The man blinked. What? When you stood here? After she died. Did you think about it? He didn't answer. You did, Eli said. I feel it in the stone. The man closed his eyes. It felt easier than explaining. She forgave you anyway. I don't deserve that. She gave it anyway. They sat still. Wind pushed the trees. She said they don't live underground. Eli whispered. The man turned. Who? The ones who took us. She said they live in memory. In silence. In what people don't ask. The man stood. That sounds like hell. It is. He walked to the back side of the well. Something glinted in the stone. Another set of markings. Smaller, rougher. 2 letters. SR. He traced them. Sheriff's initials. Eli nodded. He was here. When she wrote it, the man's voice cracked. He watched. He told her no one would believe her anyway. He gripped the stone. I'd kill him if I thought it'd fix it. It won't. He looked up. Then what will happen? Eli didn't answer. The man sat again, tired in a way that bone knows. She used to bring me water from this well, he said, even after it dried. Said it still held what was needed. I think it holds names. They both looked down. I hear something, Eli whispered. The man held his breath. A sound, faint, a drip, then another. It's not dry. Eli said. He stood, reached for the old rope crank. It groaned. The bucket dropped into the dark. They waited. 30 seconds, maybe a minute. Then a soft splash. He turned the crank. I pulled it up slowly. The weight increased. The bucket rose, sloshing. Inside, water, murky but real. Floating on top, a small wooden disc. The man picked it out, held it in his palm. A locket. Her locket. The clasp is still closed. She dropped this the summer she turned 5, he whispered. She said you'd find it when you stopped running. He opened the locket. Inside, a curl of hair, and a name carved into the inside lid. Eli. The man froze. She remembered me, the boy said. She never forgot. The man held the locket tight. We write her name down again. Where? In the Bible. In the ground. On our walls, if we have to. Eli nodded. And mine. You go beside her. He looked out toward the trees. They're still watching. The man didn't turn. Let them watch. Let them see we're not hiding anymore. He set the locket back in the bucket. I lowered it slowly. Why give it back now? He asked. Eli whispered, because she's not waiting anymore. She's moving. They stood. One last look at the well. Not gone. Just waiting. Not anymore. He threw the shirt into the fire without warning. Eli watched, arms crossed, expression unreadable. The man stood over the hearth, eyes locked on the fabric as the flames caught the edge. Or tried to. The flames rose, curled around the shirt, but didn't take it. Smoke twisted upward. Heat filled the room. But the shirt didn't burn. Not a thread. The man stepped back, face pale. Eli tilted his head. You thought it'd vanish. It's cloth, the man said. It should have gone up like nothing. It's not just cloth. The man grabbed the poker, pressed the shirt deeper into the coals. Sparks flew, heat spit. Still, nothing. He whispered, What is this? Eli stepped forward. Proof. Of what? That you buried the wrong one. The man turned slowly. Don't say that. You did, Eli said. And the fire knows it. He stared into the flames. Then what did I bury? Eli didn't answer. The man reached into the fire with the poker again, pulled the shirt out. No scorch marks, just soot. He dropped it onto the floorboards. Eli picked it up, held it at arm's length. I kept her name, he said softly, so she could wake up. The man sat down hard in the chair. What do you mean you kept it? She asked me to. When? When they took her. Said she'd come back for it. That makes no sense. Eli folded the shirt. Neither does a fire that doesn't burn. He set it on the table. The note is still pinned to the inside collar. Your last son. Do better. The man stared at the words like they might shift. You think this is her voice? I think it's both of ours. He rubbed his jaw. I saw the ashes. I picked out her teeth from the soot. You picked out what they left. He stood, pushed away from the chair. Why would they do that? They needed something to bury. He pounded his fist on the table. Say what you mean. They needed you to mourn the wrong thing, so you'd stop looking for the right one. The man stared. His hands trembled. Eli stepped closer. They let you grieve. Because grieving shuts the mouth. He didn't speak. The fire was meant for her. But I carried her name. Why you? She trusted me. I was the one who stayed quiet. He looked up slowly. She knew they wouldn't pick her? She knew they'd fear her voice. The man paced, back and forth, across the kitchen floor. I should have seen this. They made sure you wouldn't. He stopped. Why now? Eli shrugged. Maybe the land's done being quiet too. He walked to the cupboard, pulled out a tin box. Inside, matches, kerosene, twine. The man looked over. What are you doing? Testing it. Eli unfolded the shirt again, poured a thin stream of kerosene across the fabric. Step back, he said. The man didn't move. Eli struck a match. The flame burned bright, dropped it. The fire licked across the cloth, hissed, and then died. No smoke, no flame, just wetness and steam. The man staggered back. Eli dropped the matchbox. It's not meant to burn until she's ready. The man leaned on the counter, chest heaving. Then when the name comes home. They stood in silence. Then the man turned to the fire, tossed the shirt back in. It curled, twisted, and again refused to catch. Eli whispered, She's not ash. The man whispered back, Then what is she? Eli looked him in the eye. She's what you remember wrong. They stood there a long while. Then the man picked up the shirt, folded it clean. We keep it, he said. Eli nodded. Until she asks for it back. He placed it in the drawer under the stove, shut it slow. What if they come again? The man asked. They won't, Eli said. Not now. Why not? Because the fire told them she's still here. The man sat down. You think she's angry? Eli looked toward the rocking chair. It didn't move. I think she's waiting. The wind outside shifted. The house creaked, but the fire burned steadily. And behind the glass, her name glowed in the coals. Not ash. Not gone. Just not done. He woke up sweating. No dream. Just a name echoing in the stillness. Not her full name. Not the one he gave her. Just the one she whispered when she was scared. Hush. It had never made sense. Until now. He sat up. Eli was already awake, sitting at the table, feet swinging, staring at the stove like he was waiting for it to speak. You hear it too? The man asked. Eli didn't answer. The man rubbed his face. There's something under us, isn't there? Eli nodded once. Where they kept her? Why would they keep her here? Because no one looks where they're told not to dig. The man stood. I walked toward the old hallway, the one with creaky boards that never sounded the same twice. Eli followed. Have you ever been down there? The man asked. No. But she has. They reached the end of the hall. The door to her room was cracked open. She hated the dark, the man whispered. Used to cry when the lights flickered. She stopped crying the day they took her. He pushed the door open. The room was dust-heavy. Bed stripped. Doll on the shelf where he left it. He stepped in. I looked around. She used to sleep facing the wall. Said she didn't want to see what she saw from the mirror. Eli walked to the floorboards beside the bed. Here. The man knelt, pressed his palm flat. Something clicked. The board lifted with effort. Underneath, a hollow space. He reached inside, pulled up a thin slab of old wood. A ladder descended into darkness. The smell rose first. Not rot, not damp, just old, forgotten. They climbed down. The room was small, stone walls, dirt floor, no light. The man struck a match. Eli lit the lantern. The flame illuminated what had been hidden. Toys broken and scattered, a child's blanket shredded, a cracked teacup, and words carved into every wall, every beam. One word again and again. Hush. Scrawled with nails, sticks, or broken metal. Dozens, maybe hundreds. The man stepped closer, ran his fingers over one. She wrote this. She said they made her. Why? To quiet her down. He turned to Eli. This is a cage. She said it was a waiting room. For what? For the rest of her to return. The man crouched beside a pile of fabric. I touched it gently. A small shoe. Her shoes. I thought they burned her. They burned someone. He stood. This is where she slept? Eli nodded. She was 5. She stopped counting after 4. He looked up. The carvings on the ceiling were smaller. One line written with more care. Not gone. Just hushed. He turned slowly. She gave you her name. Eli sat down in the corner, cross-legged, calm. She gave me everything. She's not dead. She just gave me her place. The man dropped to his knees. You remember it? Only the humming. And the way the cold never left. He picked up a shard of glass from the floor. His reflection split. She waited for me, he whispered. Eli didn't speak. The man stood. We're not leaving this room like this. He walked to the corner, grabbed the broken chair, smashed it against the wall. Wood splintered. What are you doing? Eli asked. Making room. For what? For her. They cleared the space, swept out the dust, stacked the broken toys. The man took the teacup, set it on a stone ledge. She loved this one. Used to say it made her feel grown. She said you'd remember that. He picked up the blanket. She said she'd come back? Eli nodded. When her name was spoken by someone who meant it. The man stepped back, took a breath, then said it out loud. Eloise. The flame in the lantern pulsed. He said it again. Eloise Marie. The air shifted. The man knelt. I didn't forget you. I buried the wrong memory. But not your name. Eli looked up. She hears you. They sat there, waiting. A drop of water hit the floor. Then another. He looked up. The ceiling wept. The house above had started to remember. Eli stood. "We should go." "Why now?" "She doesn't want to be found." "She wants to be freed." They climbed out of the space, the lantern left behind. The man closed the hatch. Didn't lock it. Just pressed the board back into place. They stood in the room, breath quiet. Then the rocker in the corner began to move. Back and forth. Slow. Steady. He whispered, "She never left." Eli looked down the hall. "She's not waiting anymore."